Today, we're diving into one of the most powerful and honestly mind-bending metaphors in the history of philosophy, Plato's allegory of the cave. And believe it or not, this idea from over 2,400 years ago might just completely change how you see your own reality. So let me ask you something right off the bat. What if everything you believe is real, everything you see, everything you're sure of, is actually just a shadow dancing on a wall? That's the unsettling question Plato drops on us, and it's the heart of this whole thing. So let's get into it. Okay, so in his book, The Republic, Plato asks us to picture this: a group of people who have spent their entire lives chained up in a cave. They can't move their heads, so all they can ever look at is the wall right in front of them. Now, behind them, there's a fire, and people are walking back and forth in front of that fire, holding up objects, puppets, really. These puppets cast shadows on the wall that the prisoners are staring at. And here's the kicker. For these prisoners, those shadows aren't just shadows. They are reality. It's all they've ever known. But of course, this isn't just some spooky campfire story, right? It's a huge metaphor for the journey from ignorance to real understanding, to enlightenment. So let's follow one of these prisoners as they begin that tough climb out of the dark. So imagine one of them is suddenly set free. He's forced to turn around and look at the fire. The light is blinding, it's painful, and for the first time, he sees the actual puppets. And in that moment, he realizes everything he thought was real was just a copy, a cheap imitation. His entire world is shattered right then and there. And that right there, that's the first really jarring step towards actual knowledge. And this is where Plato really starts to map things out. Life inside the cave, that's basically our everyday physical world, the one we experience with our senses. It's a world of beliefs and opinions. But life outside in the light, that's a whole different level. It's the world of what Plato calls the forms, these perfect eternal ideas of things, like the perfect concept of justice or the perfect idea of beauty. You can't see them or touch them. You can only grasp them with your mind. So what's lighting up this higher world of ideas? Well, in the story, it's the sun. And the sun here is the big one. It stands for the ultimate truth, what Plato called the form of the good. Just like our sun lets us see everything in the physical world, the form of the good is what makes all other truths and all knowledge possible. For Plato, getting to that point, understanding that, well, that's the whole goal of philosophy. Okay, so our guy has seen the sun, he gets it, he understands true reality. You think mission accomplished, right? Well, not so fast. For Plato, with that incredible knowledge comes an even more incredible responsibility. I mean, you've probably had this happen. You have some kind of breakthrough, a huge realization, and you're just bursting to share it. But when you try to explain it to someone, they don't just disagree, they get angry. They think you're crazy. Well, that's exactly what's about to happen to our prisoner. So he goes back into the cave, and of course, his eyes are totally useless in the dark now. He can't see the shadows on the wall clearly anymore. The other prisoners look at him, and they don't see someone who's enlightened. Nope, they see an idiot. They think the journey outside broke his brain, and they laugh at him, more certain than ever that their shadow world is the only one that's real. And this is where Plato really drives his point home. Speaking through his teacher Socrates, he basically says we can't let these enlightened folks just hang out up there in the sunshine. They have an obligation, a duty, to go back down into the darkness and help the people still stuck there. This whole idea gives birth to one of Plato's most famous concepts, the philosopher-king. The perfect ruler isn't someone who wants power. It's someone who has seen the truth, who'd rather be contemplating the forms, but is forced to come back and govern for the good of everyone. Their job is to use what they know to build a just society and try to lead others out of the cave. So how does all this philosophical knowledge actually work in the real world? Well, Plato lays out a whole blueprint, and it's all based on this fascinating idea that a just society is just a bigger version of a just person. This is a huge idea in Plato's thought. He basically says, if you want to know what makes a person just, first you have to figure out what makes a whole city just. The city is like the person, just scaled way, way up. The structure is exactly the same. And here's how he breaks it down. He says the human soul has three parts. One part is rational, one is spirited, think courage and honor, and one is appetitive, which is all our desires and appetites. And guess what? The perfect city has three classes that line up perfectly. You have the rulers, the guardians, who are governed by reason. You have the auxiliaries, the soldiers, who are driven by that spirited part. And you have the producers, all the workers, driven by their appetites. So what is justice in this system? It's not about laws or punishment. For Plato, it's about harmony. It's when every part of the soul, or every class in the city, does its own job, the one it's best suited for, and doesn't try to do anyone else's. When reason rules, with the help of spirit, you get a just person. Same thing for the city. Okay, that's a lot to take in. That's Plato's world. But here's why we're still talking about this thousands of years later. It's because it forces us to turn the question on ourselves and ask, are we living in a cave? I mean, think about it. This idea of breaking out of a fake reality to find a deeper truth, it's everywhere. You see echoes of it in ancient myths like Prometheus bringing forbidden knowledge down to humanity. You see it in Eastern thought, with the emphasis on a journey of self-improvement for the good of society. And you definitely see it in modern stories. And yeah, the biggest one has got to be The Matrix. The movie is practically a modern remake of the allegory. The Matrix itself? That's the cave, a simulated world of shadows. Neo? He's our prisoner who gets freed. And that whole painful awakening when he sees the desert of the real, it's a direct parallel to our prisoner being dragged out of the cave into the blinding sun. So all of this brings us right back to where we started. Plato's story isn't just some ancient philosophical puzzle. It's a direct challenge to you, to me, to all of us. It asks us to take a hard look at our own lives, our own beliefs, and to ask what walls we might be staring at, convinced that the shadows on them are the whole truth. What comfortable illusions are we clinging to? So I'll leave you with this. What shadows are you ready to question?